We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Cactus Wrestling is now available on Spotify and Amazon. And don't forget to check us out on Etsy for all of your Cactus Wrestling apparel needs.
Ho, ho, ho. Welcome back to Cactus Wrestling and Merry Christmas.
Happy
Oh,
Festivus for the rest of us.
yeah.
I know that you all have your aluminum poles somewhere and feats of strength and airing of the grievances.
Mike had it tonight.
We did. We actually did.
So this past weekend was the match heard round the world. It actually happened.
I love that. I mean, we've talked about this on the channel. How often do we see like super matches get hyped up and then people in the wrestling community is like, okay, but it's not actually going to happen because of protecting seeds or ducking because we'll just see them at nationals. I love that these guys continue to toe the line because I feel like it's such a rarity these days for high ranked and high seeded guys to actually get these matchups.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this. This matchup actually had even greater implications on
Huge.
postseason seeding. Because think about this. Okay, it's really a three-man race at this point.
Yep.
You got Keegan, O'Toole, Levi Haines, and
Dean
Dean
Hamady.
Hamidi. Two of those are in the Big 12.
Hmm.
Hamidi will not match up against Levi Haines. Levi Haines lost to Keegan O'Toole. He has one loss. Let's
Yep.
say Levi goes on to win the Big Tens. Okay, great, fine. He has one loss to end the year, just assuming he wins out.
Yep. Right there.
Now, the other two, Keegan, Hamidi, they'll wrestle potentially in the dual meet between each other, Oklahoma State and Missouri, and the Big 12s. Now, if O'Toole sweeps both of those, he's the clear number one.
Hmm.
Levi would probably be the number two seed because he'd win Big Tens, and then Hamidi
Would
would
be the
probably
three.
be the number three seed. Now, let's say they split, or no, let's do the other way. If
Hamady.
Hamidi wins both, then Hamidi will probably be the one seed.
Levi will
Either
probably, either
either
way,
way, it's two
it's gonna
three.
be
It's
yeah.
2-3 Keegan and Levi on the same side. Maybe Levi gets the two, even though it's a head to head because he'd be conference champion. Tough to
Yeah.
say though. Now let's say they split. Hamidi and O'Toole split matches. I don't think there's any way Levi's getting the number one seed.
I was say I've thought about this morning as well. Levi is gonna have to go through either Hamady or O'Toole to get to the other one.
Right.
I don't think, I don't see a situation where he ends up on the one seed. Although, that being said, we have seen some interesting seeding in the past, but I think it would be very unlikely to have that happen.
Unless one of them takes a weird loss, but
I
assuming
mean,
the
it's
way they're
possible, but yeah, I
wrestling.
mean, it's unlikely.
Yeah, so this matchup really has some huge implications. I think that it's become a very tall task for Levi to not only get to the finals but win the national tournament if it's true that he's going to have either
Both.
Hamity, O'Toole, and then the other one to
Yeah.
win a title. If he does, then
Hodge.
man, well, no.
It can't be. He's already got one loss.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe MOW for the tournament.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I'm just looking at anyone else. I don't think anyone else is going to be
Oh, I
undefeated.
mean, look at Wolak. He was the four, and he's already
Yeah,
got he
no.
got destroyed last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, no. Everyone else has a loss at this point
Yeah,
except for Harkla, maybe Big Ten.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Levi beats him
Yeah, I
pretty
do
handily.
too. And then Nick Contrera from Penn, he's Ivy League, but
Yeah.
he's not gonna have the quality wins to propel himself above that. So yeah, very interesting. So let's get into the match. Keegan O'Toole versus Levi Haines. Uh, both Mikes were predicting Levi to win this one. I predicted Keegan. I mean, it was a one heck of a match.
Yeah, I really think that like this still, if they wrestled 10 times, I think they could go 5-5. I mean, they look so similar to one another. And I think that a lot of the positions that we saw, either guy could have won.
What impressed me about Keegan was that he just was so calm under pressure.
Super
He got in on the
meticulous.
leg and just slowed everything down. He got the leg up. He didn't try and rush anything. He wasn't flustered at all. Even when Levi was in on a shot, I never felt like Levi was close to finishing. I
See,
mean, you could talk about the boot.
yeah, I mean, we'll get there, but like, I thought Levi did a good job keeping a higher pace. And I felt like each time he was getting a little closer to scoring on Keegan. Um, but again, I didn't feel like, oh yeah, like this is the time it's gonna happen. Keegan holds position so well, and I was just really impressed by both guys. I mean, we've kind of, well, maybe not you so much, but Mike and I have definitely said like, Keegan hasn't looked as sharp as he has in years past. And I feel like this match looked like a return to form. Like he was positionally very solid, the same slickness and the same defense that we came to expect from Keegan. The offensive output that was super efficient that we've seen from him in the past. Um, Calm under pressure. It looked like very textbook Keegan O'Toole. Um,
Yeah, he had a slower pace, which I think
yeah,
Levi was getting a little flustered. He
frustrating for
was he
sure.
was reaching
Yeah,
a lot, and
definitely reaching.
I was also impressed because Keegan's had a gas tank problem against Carr in the past.
Yeah,
Didn't
didn't
seem
seem like
like
an issue.
that. He paced
No,
himself very well against
yeah,
Levi, who has a high motor. And Levi looked good too. It's not like he gassed in
no. I think
overtime.
that they were just, it was the pretty much the way it was going to go down was the way it went down, where one guy was going to get in just a slightly better position. I mean, Levi was in deep sometimes, he was close to scoring sometimes, but Keegan thrives in these positions. And it was I was surprised Levi was a little timid with some scoring in the sense that like he definitely respected Keegan's scrambling ability. Where we saw him in their freestyle match, on the leg, outstretched, and Levi worked himself up into it last time, head to the outside, dragged up. But this time he kind of just was like, hey, we're gonna hang out here. I could feel Keegan trying to look to move me. I think he was like, hey, we're just gonna call for the stalemate. And I'm really gonna respect your scramble ability in this situation.
So let's get into the overtime scramble. And it's not a super match without some controversy. Of course, there's
Oh
a
boy.
controversy to it
You know,
because honestly, I thought Penn State was going to get the reversal of the
I
call
thought so too
just
because
because like we're so
with Penn
used to
State.
it. Yeah, it's
Oh,
Penn
I was
State.
about to say like as a Penn State fan, I'm like, Kale typically makes good challenges. They usually know what they're doing. They usually don't throw a brick unless, they're not the guys that are like throwing it all the time. I feel like they typically challenge things that they're like, this is 75% going to go our way.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean there was I guess there was no point in not challenging it at
yeah.
that
But
point because
even Levi, like, see him like be like, throw the brick, throw the brick. And I don't know. I mean, we talked about this looking back at the Yanni McKenna match.
very
Very,
similar.
very similar
It's like
position. I would
literally the
actually
same exact
say
position.
Yanni had even less control in that match. Um, but as we kind of talked off screen, you know, that was a bit of a makeup call in that match. And the ref was like, I have to make it. And then everyone that's wrestled knows refs very rarely go back on their decision. You know, it looks weak. It's a bad sign. If you're like, no, what, you were right. I was wrong. That ref typically they own their bad calls and they own their good calls. And I think in the Yanni match that a lot of people are pointing to, like, it's the same thing, it's the same thing. It might be, but that ref made a bad call then, and I don't think we're gonna see it happen twice. As someone that is a huge fan of wrestling, wrestled a lot myself, I was always under the impression, he's got the two legs in, double boots, he's fine. But as you and Mike pointed out, Keegan's arm was
Yeah,
leveraged
the
right where
arm
he needed it to
whizzer.
be. He still had that arm in there. Um, so it is tough to give the call for control for Levi for sure.
Yeah, and McKenna had the same exact thing.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to compare apples to apples. I always compare it to like in baseball when they have a video review.
Hmm.
It's usually like tie goes to the runner.
Yep.
It's if it's a judgment call and it could go either way, they usually stick with whatever the ump or the
Yeah.
ref called in the moment. So because there was no call, or sorry, because there was a no call, the ref didn't call a takedown. To your point, I think it's a worse look for them to reverse it.
Time to go back.
I don't think there's because I think the whole point of video review is there definitive
It's
evidence
got to
to
be enough to
reverse
overturn it.
it.
Exactly.
And I don't think they saw enough. But had it been called a takedown and they were calling to reverse it, I don't know.
I
To
think I
me,
agree.
with the arm,
If they
it's
called
tough.
it, if they called no, ta if they called the takedown originally, I think they would have stood with the no takedown. If they called it a takedown, they would have stood with that.
Yeah.
I think that either way, regardless of how they called it, they weren't going to overturn it because it was kind of a 50-50. And they're like,
Yeah.
look, like we're going to give it, that's just how it is. There's not enough to overturn it. Um, I saw some people talking about like, well, it wasn't a takedown for Keegan because he has to pop his head out in that backdoor position. And I don't know if so Lee, he has both the ankles collected. He's got his head underneath.
Like
Levi's kind of,
between, yeah,
yeah,
under his butt.
and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And Levi's kind of sitting back, and they're like, "That was the takedown. It should be a takedown because he has to pop his head." Um, I think that is true, but in fairness, there's not a lot of places Levi was probably going from there.
Yeah. And also, like, out of bounds, I feel like if you have both ankles,
Yeah,
I
even if
don't know.
you're trapped, I mean,
That seems like a more of a control
yeah,
position
that's
than
what I was kind of thinking too. Is
both
like,
legs in, but arm is kind of flailing a little.
but I was just like I said, I had a little bit sour grapes, especially in the moment, because I'm like, that's clearly a takedown. He's got both boots. And then you see the other side of the angle, you're like, okay, well, the arm's in there. Uh,
I do like that they let it play out. I think
yeah,
so
for
many
sure.
times refs interfere and are the determining factor, and we just want to see him wrestle. And I like that they were able to play it out. It wasn't definitive enough for them to interfere and get in the way. Um, and I think subconsciously because Keegan was the one in on the shot, he was causing the action. They wanted to kind of see it play out, maybe not. I don't know. But official ruling, I think it was a fair call. I think if we see this match at NCAA's, it's going to be very similar one takedown match,
Yeah.
whether it's overtime or not. Um, who you picking in NCAA's?
I'm still gonna go with Levi. So, you know, we've talked about this. I think Penn State does a good job making adjustments for nationals. And I think that's partly why Levi took the match and didn't duck out because they did weigh in Joe Lee, I think it was, or maybe Matt Lee. It was one of Nick Lee's other younger brothers. I don't remember which one. But I think they were like, hey, like, we're gonna take our chance and we want a little bit of data, get a real feel for him, wrestle him. Because I mean, who was the last person from Penn State that wrestled Keegan O'Toole? I don't remember, right?
65 before Messenbrink was
Vincenzo?
I feel like there's someone in there between Chenzo and
Messenbrink. Definitely there was.
Messenbrink.
I just can't think of it.
Not Levi, he was 57. Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head.
And I'm sure it was funny is I'm sure it's a big name and we're just missing it. But
Yeah.
my point is I don't think they had data on it. And Mitchell Messenbrink has obviously wrestled with Keegan. They grew up together. They were
Yeah.
teammates, club mates. But me telling you, oh yeah, he likes to do this and this is where pretty good is not the same as me physically feeling it for myself and saying, hey, I think I can score here. Okay, you were right. He is very tough here. I have to avoid this position. I think Keegan won the match, but maybe Penn State is going to win the war because now they have the data they needed for Keegan. And that's maybe being a little biased, but I'm just looking forward to it again. Like I said, my biggest hurdle for 165 or 174 still is I think Oklahoma State, Dean Hemedy is the biggest landmine here. I really think he could take them both. And
Yeah, I don't know if I see that.
you think he could beat one, but maybe not both?
I feel like Keegan didn't he major him in the past? I know
Yeah, but
he's different
I
now,
mean, this
but
is really looking like I said, outside of this match, Keegan, in my opinion, hasn't looked great. And yes, he's statistically doing well, but I think he's been giving up. He was a lot more um, efficient at 65. He was a lot tougher to score on. And maybe he's adjusting to the weight as the season goes on. But, Hamady has looked really good. And I mean, remember, like, he pretty much had Mitchell Messenbrink dead to rights before he gassed
Yeah, he
out.
did. He
I
did.
think that at 74 with the extra weight, not cutting, working with David Taylor, that Oklahoma State effect, I think he's super dangerous.
I would like to see him against Haynes because we're gonna see him against O'Toole.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see Keegan sweep him so that Hammond's on
Same.
Haynes's side. And then that would be a good match. I think that'd be a good match. I think that'd be more scoring than this one. I kind of
For
wish
sure.
they were because they were both kind of timid. Maybe they're just filling each
They
other
had they had a lot
out.
of respect for one another. I mean, they had that mutual eye poke earlier on, and they were both
Oh
like,
yeah, that's true.
be like, "Hey, my bad, sorry."
Yeah.
A lot of respect between the two of them, which is nice, But I agree. I wish they let it fly a little bit more.
So drop your comments down below. What are your thoughts about Keegan O'Toole versus Levi Haines, and who do you think is going to win if they match up at NCAA's? I am sticking with Keegan, but Hamady could be a landmine. We'll see. So let's get into Josh Barr versus Stephen Little. This is another match that we previewed. Believe we both picked Barr on this one.
Yeah,
Overtime match again. Difference maker here. I think Little just gassed, even though he almost had that takedown in overtime though,
yeah, right on the edge.
right on the edge.
You know,
I was a little worried because he was in concussion protocol for a
you
few
just yeah,
minutes, so I
yeah.
don't know if that rattled him or not.
I was kind of wondering the same thing. Like, is he good to come back? Because it was so early in the match, it was a while that he was on concussion protocol. I didn't think he was coming back.
He's a
Um,
tough dude though. I mean,
yeah, he is. He
he's one
really
of
is.
the grittiest wrestlers out
Yeah.
there,
Oh yeah.
Stephen
Um,
Little.
and there were times in the match where I was like, wow, Josh Barr really controlling the pace, controlling the center, and you could see that freestyle training that he's been doing all off season, where he's like working to the edge, control the edge, control the center, keep your back to the center, even if you're losing the hand fight battle, control the center. Um, and then I feel like as the match went on, I thought Stephen Little actually did a better job at hand fighting. I was like, they're gonna bang Josh Barr for stalling soon.
Josh Barr was doing a lot of backing up.
Yeah, especially towards the end of the match.
He was backing up a
Yep. And I
lot
was like, I'm
and
watching
just
it.
like hand fighting backing up.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'm watching my wife and she's watching like I don't know reality TV, and I'm like, they're
A
gonna hit.
musical.
No, definitely not. And I'm like, they're gonna hit him for stalling, and she's like, would you shut up? I'm trying to watch whatever. And I was like, don't you understand? Josh Barr is about to get hit for stalling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I thought Josh Barr started off super strong, and as the match continued, he almost kind of got weathered. But then conditioning looked great in overtime, and he scored when he needed to score. Um, I've said this to you and Mike. Josh is admittedly a smaller, quote unquote,
He looked pretty
197,
big though.
but yeah, he does look big.
He filled out a little bit.
He has. But I think because he's a little smaller and he's not carrying around as much weight, it allows him to keep a higher pace and kind of tire out some of these bigger 197s. I think that's what he did with last week, against Lehigh, where he had, I mean, a huge, absolutely massive 197, my opinion.
Michael
Um,
Beard.
yeah, I think Beard is enormous at 197, like
Yeah.
physically imposing. Um, and I feel like that was the big difference maker is that if you remember that match, Beard got him to the edge and almost scored, but Beard got tired very quick, and Barr's like, cool, foot on the gas, I'm going after it. And I think that that's going to be a big thing for him this year is kind of wearing down these guys with hand fighting, pressure, fakes, snaps, etc. And saying like, dude, like I'm fine taking it to overtime because my conditioning's great and I'm just gonna get the one take that I need when I need it. And that's what we saw with the match with Stephen Little. Um, I was I'm still thinking Josh Barr can climb the ranks. I don't know if I'm ready to be like, hey, national champion. Um, I think he's definitely a very, very high All-American finisher.
Well, here's the problem. Just in the Big Ten alone,
Yeah.
you got Isaiah Salazar, who's very tough for Minnesota,
Mhm.
Jacob Cardenas from
Yeah.
Michigan, and Stephen Buchanan of Iowa. Not to
Yeah.
mention Zach Bronigal is also very tough, and Paz, Rutgers. I don't know. I don't think Paz would beat him, but he's former
Still someone
All-American.
that's, kitchen sink kind of guy, throws everything at him.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be a tough
It's a tough schedule for sure.
tournament. Big Tens, if he can, he's kind of giving me Braden Davis vibes of last year, where
Hmm. Yeah, I could see it, but I think Josh Barr has higher level wins than Braden Davis had last season. Like Davis really didn't beat
well,
anybody till the end of the year,
yeah, 25 was kind of a crapshoot as well. But what I'm saying is, I guess I could see him potentially like
winning Big
knocking
Ten.
off and maybe making the finals of Big Tens or even winning and then maybe falling short at nationals or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
mean, there's a lot of season left. I really like how Josh Barr is looking. I was hoping to see a little bit more offensive output against Stephen Little. Majoring Michael Beard was huge, but we kind of talked about like, yeah, Michael Beard sometimes lets this weird stuff happen. I'd
Yeah.
like to see a little bit more data. Um, and I was hoping he would put on a little bit more of widen the gap a little bit between him and Stephen Little. But again, a great match to see guys toe the line. Super tough for Little Rock to get shut out like that. I mean, they're a solid team, and it just speaks to the depth of this Penn State lineup.
Well, I mean that's another point. Penn State went 29-1 on the weekend on the
Yeah, and their
weekend.
only
I mean,
loss was to two-time national champion Keegan O'Toole
yeah.
in an overtime match, and
Yeah.
a controversial win potentially.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just go and hey, Little Rock beat Missouri. So,
Yeah, they did, dude.
yeah, that's straight up. I mean, granted, uh, Cam Steed, Missouri's 65 pounder, get injured in one of the matches, and that's why he didn't wrestle against Messenbrink. Messenbrink took two forfeits.
Oh my, out of three matches, he was pissed.
Yeah. Which one of them was legitimate injury. I don't know why. I think Binghamton maybe didn't send
Binghamton, I
someone
don't
out.
think sent out Brevin Casella.
No, Casella's at 74.
No,
Casella didn't wrestle Levi, but he got majored by Keegan, like 21-8 or something.
so strange. But on the
Uh,
topic of Little Rock, how about Braden Davis we brought up earlier?
yeah, so I mean, you can quote me. I said if Nasir wrestles Braden Davis, he wins them hands down. And you said, I don't know about hands down. And then lo and behold, 1-0 win for
Yeah.
Braden Davis. I think very similar to the Lucas Bird match in the All-Star Classic. 1-0 match. Nasir chose neutral. He didn't choose bottom
In both matches.
in both matches. So a tough week for Nasir because he also took the loss by Blake
Yeah.
Borman. So we were wondering if he was even going to wrestle this week, which happy he did, but also maybe potentially concerned that he's battling something.
Yeah. It's a little interesting that Nasir hasn't gone bottom. I mean, Davis isn't known for his top wrestling ability. Is Bailey that not
Vulnerable.
yeah, well, like that, vulnerable on bottom? Is he so unconfident in his bottom ability to get away? Or is he just that confident in his neutral game? But again, if you didn't do anything through the first two periods of neutral, why think that, okay, I'm going to get it switched now? At least go bottom. I mean, and I'm usually not an auto bottom guy. Um, but it raises a question like, okay, like, has Bailey kind of been figured out already?
Hmm. I don't know about figured out. I mean, he Lucas Bird is two-time All-American, Braden Davis Big Ten champion. These are quality guys he's losing to.
Let's see what happens later. I mean, let's see what continues to happen.
Mm. I mean, he almost got that takedown on Lucas Burt too, like
Yeah.
that shuck by. He was in several times, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going
Do
on there.
you think Braden Davis is an All-American threat at this point?
Well, let's see who else is at the weight because 33 is pretty deep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we already saw him lose to Crookham. I think
You
Bird
haven't
will
lost to
see
Beard.
that matchup. Lucas Bird, Zeth Romney is
Solid.
solid. He's lost to Drake Ayala in the past.
Yep.
just beat Bailey. Evan Frost is up there. Buzakis, that'll be a good match when they go against each other. Tyler Knox is in the mix. Tyler Wells of Minnesota, I think, is right there. I think he beats McGonigal. Noto has not looked great.
Yeah.
Ragason's out for the year, right?
Yes.
So that's a slot opening. Um, Ethan Oakley just lost, I think, to someone this past weekend. So then you're going down. Dylan Shawver, that'll be a good one.
I don't know. I don't think
He was
Sharp.
Big Ten champion last
Yeah,
year.
but he's been struggling, I think, a little bit this year.
2 losses only. Um,
Early. I mean, it's
Jake Van D,
yeah, Nebraska.
Cleveland Belton. I think he should All-American,
Yeah, I think
but
Penn
it
State could
depends on the
be.
matchups.
They could be 10 All-Americans this year.
Well, that brings, I mean, we didn't preview
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but Luke Lillidahl, I don't know, man. I don't think he's national title contender.
All he's done is win so far.
He has, but he's gotten taken down a lot. I think he got taken down twice, two different guys this weekend.
That's okay. But
He
remember,
beat 5-4 against some unranked guy at Missouri. What was
all
his
that
name?
matters is the win sometimes. I mean,
Hey,
we saw Carter Starachi lost to Donnell Washington. Um,
all right.
and then went on to win a national title that year.
Um, yeah, I guess so. I guess you're
I
right.
mean, I don't know. I'm still pretty high on him until he gives me a reason. Yes, I'm
You
not.
didn't think that those performances were
I was about to say,
concerning?
I was about to say, like, I'm not thrilled by the way he's been wrestling, especially after watching him, at things like Super 32, at Ironman, Powerade, Worlds, World Team Trials. I mean, I've been watching him bang with like the top level guys of high school and college for years now. And I'm like, why are you not looking like the guy that I watched?
You
Is
think
it the
it's a
Penn
weight
State
cut?
curse? No, I don't think he's that big at 25. I mean, look at when he wrestled against Lehigh. Sheldon Seymour looked massive by comparison
Hmm.
to him, to Lightning Luke. I just think that he's adjusting to it. Um,
Well, there's only one logical explanation. You just said it, the curse.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is like, I wonder if it's his Penn State curse.
I can't think of anything else. I mean, yeah, Gage Walker of Missouri, 5-4 win. He got taken down, and I think he got taken down by Jaden Carson of Little Rock, even though he won that one 9-3. But he's had some close matches. Yeah, he beat Sheldon Seymour 4-1. He hasn't really aside from Sheldon Seymour, he hasn't really
Yeah,
beaten anyone.
yeah. I was just about to say he's.
I mean, he's teched everyone he's supposed to tech. And then yeah, close matches. So I don't all American. I'm still a little iffy just because 25 is known to be upset heavy. But I'm
We'll
trying to
see.
think every other weight class, 33, 41. I wasn't impressed with Bo Bartlett either.
But we never are. Come on. Bo is like I've never seen, someone have a harder looking, four,
Another
yeah, 4
overtime win against
yeah.
Josh Edmond.
I've never seen anyone work harder for a 4-1 win over a guy that like is significantly ranked lower than you.
I think Vance Vombauer is gonna give Bo
Bo?
Bartlett, tough match. I wish
Probably.
Minnesota wrestled Penn State. I think I was going through it. I was like, what team could win the most matches? Because I had this idea. I was like, how many teams could Penn State shut out? And then I was like, probably a lot. Which
Most,
team could win the most matches against
like
Penn
matches up
State?
the best with them.
I was thinking Minnesota, honestly, because I think they could win potentially at 25 with Cooper Flynn against Lillidahl. Potential.
Yeah, I would say it's possible.
I'd say potential at 33 with Tyler
Bo's.
Wells, maybe against Braden Davis.
Yeah,
Toss up. I think there's potential with Vance Vombauer. The reason I got to this was because I was actually just rewatching Vance Vombauer versus Bo Bartlett at NCAA's last year, and he was
close.
in on the shot to get the go-ahead takedown in the third period, and then Bartlett locked up a cradle and pinned him. But I'm
Yeah,
just
but still, man,
saying
it was close.
it
I
was
remember that
close.
match.
It was
I do
close.
remember that.
So that's a potential. 49, I think Van Ness wins, even though he also got taken down by Jordan Williams this weekend. So a little vulnerable. Not impressed by Kasek this year, even though
No, I
he
mean,
keeps winning, but it's
yeah.
close matches.
What's funny with Kasek is like he gets a takedown like pretty early in the first, then he's like, okay, I'm shutting it down now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've been noticing is like he's like he even did it in the All-Star Classic, like takedown super early, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna cut him, he's gonna look to score points, and he's like, nope, I'm gonna ride here, I'm gonna get away, and then I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Um,
That
I
just
agree
leads
with
me to
you.
believe because we saw Meyer Shapiro come back this
Wow, did he look
weekend.
good when he came back?
I mean, he
Put
made
a
Ed Scott
He
like
made, I
oof,
mean, how do you,
oof,
if for those of you guys that
oof.
don't know, he was on his way to tech Ed Scott when when Ed Scott DQ'd out of the match because he got stalled out. I mean,
That's five stall
you know
calls
how
for those
rare
of
that
you.
has to be at that level of
Oof,
wrestling, especially two guys that are honestly ranked relatively close to one another.
oof.
Brutal.
And Ed Scott's an All-American.
That's what I mean. It's brutal.
Yeah. So I think if Shapiro can stay healthy,
Biggest
and
if.
I think he probably bonuses K-Sag. What do you think?
The way he's wrestling now, yeah. But I think Shapiro's gonna have another injury. I mean,
Yeah.
he has the injury bug, and with head injuries, when you have one, you're more likely to have another.
Do you think Shapiro, if he bumped up to 65, do you think that would be
He beats Messenberg? No.
you don't think so?
No.
Why not?
I think there's a reason that they always avoided each other for world teams. Um, with like Shapiro winning a weight class below Messenbrink or an age group below Messenbrink, is that I think that they are very similar, and Mitch's head is probably a little harder.
Mm,
Uh,
no.
I think that, watching him get teched by or pinned, it might have been teched or pinned by D Lockett at the Olympic team trials. And then watching Messenbrink tech Lockett in the next round, I'm like, wow, like yes, it is freestyle, but I think it just shows that Messenbrink still has a pretty good lead on him in that sense,
Yeah. Interesting.
especially if he's coming up in weight.
Yeah, that's fair.
But what was I
Let,
gonna say? Are
let
you?
me yeah, let me finish my train of thought on Minnesota. So you have
Okay.
three potential wins, 65 through 84 Penn State, even though
Yeah,
Max McAnally is having a great year, and I just don't see him beating Carter.
no.
97, you could favor Salazar
I
over
don't think I
Barr.
would, but yeah,
It could though. It could.
yeah, and then you'd probably favor Gable.
So realistically,
Is
you
that
could
five?
see five. You could
That's
Minnesota
awesome.
could win five. I don't think any other team could win five, let alone four. I'm thinking Iowa, maybe Ayala.
I think with Iowa too, a lot of them, it's in their head. They're like, well, we're not going to beat Penn State, whether they're going to admit it or not. I think that like they don't really come on strong for that duel
They don't
in the
match
recent
up
years.
well against I think maybe Ayala, Buchanan, and Teamer. I think that's it.
Beamer's still hurt too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State, Mendez, maybe Buzakis, McCrone. I don't
I
know
would say
yet.
Sasso. I mean, Sasso's not looking good at all.
No, not Sasso. 74, 84, no. 97, heavyweight. If
Feldman,
Feldman,
maybe, but he's
no.
hurt right now too.
No, you can't. Yeah, I think Minnesota has the best chance. I mean, Okie State, but I don't think Okie State, Wyatt, I don't, maybe. Wyatt,
Wise
maybe
look
Wyatt gets
good,
in.
but again, I think that there's going to be a little bit of a psychological factor there where
I could see Spratley winning. I could see maybe Tegan Jameson, maybe over Bartlett, maybe Hamidi,
maybe
maybe
Wise
Wyatt. So that's maybe four. I think Minnesota has five that
could. Yeah.
could actually happen. But anyway, that's my tangent.
I was gonna say, getting back to Mizzou, do you think Rocky's done?
Well, I mean, there's rumors on the Twitterverse of Iowa cashing him a big fat check for
Yeah.
next year. So
Medical
medical
red
red
shirt.
for
Yeah,
red
medical red
shirt, and
shirt this
then
year.
he'll slot in for Buchanan. But you can't do that because then where's Angelo gonna go?
Send him to the next team. He'll go to Cal State Bakersfield. Build a legacy over there. Yeah, I was disappointed that Sinclair didn't come out to wrestle against
Maybe they didn't bring him. I don't know.
that could be too. That totally could possibly be. I was really hoping to see Josh Barr versus either Aiden Sinclair or Rocky Elam. Um, and the fact that we got neither was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I mean, both Buzakis and Frost ducked,
Yeah,
which was disappointing. Last year, we saw Cornell duck like their whole team
the whole
against
team.
Iowa State.
And then
So
Mike Gray put out the thing like, we got to keep our athletes healthy. And it's like, dude, come on, who you putting this out for?
yeah, come on. So didn't love that, but overall,
Good event.
good event. Yeah, good event. Glad to see some top matchups. The super match. Glad. I mean, we've already seen two super matches.
Yeah, and Penn State's been involved in both of them. They're not afraid to wrestle.
Yeah, and hey,
We
give
give
Penn
Penn
State
State a
big
lot of
big.
crap.
No, I was gonna say give them
Not
credit
get it.
because they could easily go out and probably shut out Missouri except for O'Toole with their backups.
Yeah.
And they wrestle their starters. They wrestle their starters against Binghamton. I'm a little disappointed Brevin Casella didn't wrestle against Levi
Mhm.
or Corey Day. Why wrestle Penn State and not test yourself?
For
But
sure.
that doesn't make any sense to me. But um, yeah, I mean, Penn State wrestled all their guys, all three matches. Kudos to them. So hopefully everyone stays healthy going into 2025. And let us know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching Cactus Wrestling. Maybe our last video before the new year.
We'll see
Maybe
if any
not.
big
We'll
news
see.
pops
I
up.
think we got some more. Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's going to be a little bit of lull in the wrestleverse for for the holidays,
The
and
Cactus
then
verse.
action will yeah, the cactus the multiverse cactus verse. What would the cactus even be a crossover for? I'm gonna think about that, but thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe. And don't forget to get yourself a Cactus Wrestling hat on Etsy. Try and drop the link in the description below. Very
Perfect
good.
Christmas gift. Or
Yeah.
Hanukkah. Or
There you
Kwanzaa.
go.
Or Boxing Day, New Year's,
Well,
whatever.
you don't need an occasion. You don't need a reason to give a
No.
gift. Come
Just
on.
get it. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.